Hi, welcome to SBR Videos. I'm Peter Loshak. We are talking with Steve from collegefootballwinning.com right now, and we have been, of course, previewing a number of teams during the off-season. Steve is a college football handicapping expert. It's all he does. He does it very successfully. He has a great track record at his site, and right now we're going to take a look at the top-ranked team as of right now in the futures markets, Florida State. Steve, thanks for being back with us.
Thank you for having me back, and thank you for that very kind introduction, Peter.
Yeah, well, hey, you've earned it. Quote some numbers. Tell everyone how well you've done at your site in recent years, and especially last year.
I'd love to do that, Peter. Thank you. At collegefootballwinning.com, all we do is college football betting analysis 365 days out of the year, so including the off-season. Now, we're a company that is founded on making our betting recommendations algorithmically. We call those recommendations our formula. So our formula lifetime is 63.04% against the spread. Last season, 2013-2014, that formula against the spread was 66.18% against the spread. I think we're the only such company or such service that offers a 100% money-back guarantee on the entire season of our recommendations. I hope people will want to join us out there, and if they do, they go to collegefootballwinning.com, put in coupon code SBR10, that's SBR10, and you'll get 10% off of any membership that we're currently offering.
Okay, great. Florida State, for many years, for all my years of handicapping, my assumptions about Florida State at the beginning of the year are always, you're looking at like a 4-8 ATS, 3-9 ATS type of year, and maybe if, the market radically adjusts, maybe they'll wind up 6-6. But in general, I assume Florida State is going to be an unprofitable team. Last year, though, different story. They went 11-3 against the spread last year, and they were also very, very strong over-trender, particularly during the heart of the regular season. They were 10-4 over-under, despite their last 3 games all going under. So, with Florida State last year, you wanted to bet on them and just, martingale their overs game after game after game, and you would have done very, very well. Is the same thing going to happen this year? Maybe not. They're plus 350 or plus 345 to win the championship this year at Pinnacle. What do you have to tell us about Florida State upcoming this year?
Yes, good introduction, Peter. You and I just recorded a video talking about 3 good reasons not to bet Florida State this year. So let's just go over those really fast here by way of introduction to Florida State betting this year. Betting on defending national champions is unprofitable. Defending national champions beat the spread at a rate of just 49.85%. Okay, not profitable. Reason number 2, betting on returning Heisman Trophy winners. Usually a bad idea. Teams with returning Heisman Trophy winners average against the spread that season that they're playing after they've won the Heisman Trophy, 47.62% against the spread. Unprofitable. And reason number 3 was double-digit against the spread winners bite you back the following season. So the last 20 teams to win at least 10 games in a single season against the spread, Florida State's definitely one of them from last year, that following season, their against the spread winning rate was just 45.45%. So those are our 3 good reasons not to bet on Florida State entering this season. Now, specifically, or more specifically, I wrote another article on SBR, and you and I did another video, and it was about conditions for profitable college football betting. So it's a general conditions rather than specific to Florida State. And what's desirable in general is you want the team to be unranked in the preseason polls, namely the AP poll, which has yet to come out as we're recording this. We're about 2 weeks away. Florida State is all but guaranteed to be the #1 team in the AP Top 25 preseason poll. Okay, for Florida State, they have been ranked in the AP preseason top 10 just 3 times in the last decade, believe it or not. Their average against the spread winning rate in those 3 seasons when they were ranked in the top 10 was just 42.11%. It's not good. Okay, second general principle. You want that college football team to be unprofitable the prior season against the spread, of course. Florida State was 78.57% against the spread last season. That made them one of the most profitable teams in 2013. So that's not a good sign, as we already discussed, going into this next season. The third general principle, you want to see an increase in their straight-up wins from the prior season. Well, Florida State had 14 straight-up wins. They were 14-0 last year. It is technically possible, believe it or not, for Florida State to actually increase their straight-up wins from last season. They need to go 12-0 in the regular season. They would need to win the ACC championship game. That's their 13th win then. They would need to be one of the 4 teams selected for the college football playoff, and they'd have to win that semifinal. That would give them their 14th victory, and then they'd have to win the national championship. That would give them their 15 victories. But failing to win all 15 games for any reason would leave Florida State with the same or fewer straight-up wins compared to last season. So what's the problem with that? Over the last decade, when Florida State had the same or fewer straight-up wins from the prior season, that happened 6 times, their against the spread average for those 6 seasons was just 43.06%. Going 15-0, the other alternative, leaves no margin for error, 0. And college football, as you and I, as everyone knows, has a lot of errors. So, and Florida State is a team that could tell you all about that. Suspensions, dismissals, injuries, eligibility issues, officiating, weather. You and I can go on and list all the contingencies in college football. Needless to say, we are not optimistic about Florida State's against the spread prospects in 2014-2015. Okay, so how about some betting trends? Florida State does have some interesting betting trends that are worth noting. Number one, when a majority of the public betting is on Florida State when they're playing at home, the Seminoles have beaten the spread. This is now under Jimbo Fisher. They've beaten the spread 81.25% of the time. And that's crazy. That's excellent. Now, when a minority of the public betting, so when the public thinks that Florida State should not be the team to bet on, when a minority of the public betting is on Florida State at home, the Seminoles beat the spread just 36.36% of the time. That is obviously not good. So the conclusion for those 2 points is follow the public betting when it comes to Florida State in home games. Now, Florida State is just 50%, this is once again under Jimbo Fisher, just 50% against the spread in ACC games. But they are 66.67%, so they're winning 2/3 of their games against the spread when they're playing out-of-conference teams, so non-ACC teams. When Florida State is a favorite of at least 3 touchdowns, so big-time favorites, you'll see a lot of those, they're actually 66.67% against the spread under Jimbo Fisher. That's winning 2 out of every 3 games when they're huge favorites. Line movement, and by line movement, you know, I mean the difference from the opening to the closing betting line. The line movement has indicated the correct side in 76.92% of Florida State's home games, but just 41.67% of their away games. So it might do you some good to follow line movement in both home and away, but know that line movement tends to be correct in those home games, tends to be incorrect in the away games. Reverse line movement. We talk about this a lot, usually an indicator of where the so-called sharp money has gone when it opposes the majority of the public bets. Well, the reverse line movement side has been wrong more than it's been right in Florida State games under Jimbo Fisher. So reverse line movement is not necessarily an indicator of the right side. Totals. You mentioned something about totals this past season. While a public majority has bet the over in 94.23% of all of Florida State's games since Jimbo Fisher has been their head coach, the over has been the correct side since he's been there, just 47.06%. So maybe you don't want to be too enticed by what you saw last season. Look at what Jimbo Fisher has done overall and see what the public has done. Public keeps betting those overs. If anything, Peter, the bookmakers are going to see, they're going to know that, of course, and they are going to continue to take that over money. So just be careful with those overs. Now, something exotic, some exotic wagering that we think we need to call to everyone's attention. Over the past 2 seasons, Florida State is 16-12 overall against the spread. That's winning at a rate of 57.14%. Okay, it's profitable, and you and I both know it's based on last season is why they're profitable. But those same 2 seasons, Florida State was 19-9. That's winning at a rate of 67.86% against the spread in third quarter wagers. So I know we're getting a little exotic here, but it's worth a look. In quarters 1, 2, and 4, so everything but the third quarter, last season, Florida State scored 3.83 touchdowns for every 1 touchdown they allowed. Now, if you ignore 1, 2, and 4, so you just look at the third quarter, that 3.83 touchdowns to 1 ratio jumps to 8.33 to 1. So 8.33 touchdowns to every 1 they allowed in the third quarter for all of last season. So for a team that this year should have inflated lines all season long, that third quarter bet on Florida State might be the smartest Florida State bet out there. So it's worth looking into. Futures, haven't talked about that yet. The 2015 College Football National Championship, as we know now, will be determined by playing off 4 teams that are chosen by just 13 people. That makes it the most subjective method of determining the 4 best teams in college football since before the BCS. Since that process is so new and it's so subjective, we recommend the most conservative betting approach to your national championship futures betting. And with Florida State's national championship odds being so short, as you said, the shortest everywhere you look, anywhere between 3.5 to 1, maybe even a little less, to 5.5 to 1. Either way, any way you look at it, there is no value on Florida State with odds that short for a national championship futures bet. So we recommend against that. So in conclusion, Peter, we have many historical reasons to believe that Florida State will have a down against the spread year, and our money will not be on Florida State for a national championship futures bet. As with any team, however, there is money to be made betting on and against Florida State at various times, and you can look at our article that we wrote to give you more specific times, but namely, something we already talked about is perhaps looking at those third quarter bets in 2014, 2015 might be the best bet on Florida State this next year.
All right, thanks for all your thoughts, Steve.